I'm going to take a minute to preview the slides for this week. Basically, there's the first thing I want to say is evidently there are some students who are in the syllabus. There are reading assignments that you're supposed to be doing as we go through the course. So we're starting week 5. So you should be reading pages 105 to 123. The first week there were a bunch of pages, but that was all review stuff. Let me show you the textbook is this one. By Tim Bailey. It's just freely available on the internet. It's not exactly a textbook. It's an extensive tutorial, but I thought it was pretty well done. And the first, 6 chapters are review of CSCI 155 essentially. And then we started with chapter 7 and 8. That was project 1. 9 and 10. That's project 2. 11, a little bit 11 was project 2. And then we just started last week, chapter 12, and this week we're doing chapter 13 and 14 essentially. So we're beginning to look a little bit at data structures. I know a lot of you guys have had data structures, but if you haven't had data structures, you definitely want to read chapter 15. We'll actually spend a fair amount of the rest of the course playing around with concepts from chapter 15 using C. So those concepts should be familiar: arrays, linked lists, buffers, stacks, queues, trees, and hashing. So if you've taken data structures, you've seen all those before. If you haven't, at the level we'll be dealing with it in this class, you can get that all right here. The point is, that's quantum mechanics. Hang on, let's go back here. This is all laid out in the syllabus, along with some references to the K&R book that I posted a link to on ACE, which also is a great resource if the textbook that if this guy isn't doing it for you, you can go back to the Kernighan and Ritchie textbook that I also linked to on ACE. It gives you another point of view. It's the same basic material. All right. So the slides for this week with these guys, we're basically going to do input and output with files. So how to open a file, how to get a character from a file, how to put a string to a file, actually fgetS is how to get a string from a file. There is a function called fgetC that gets a single character, which we can also play with. There's an example program. I'm going to actually post this guy to ACE so you guys have it. We'll be using this as a starting point for our in-class exercise this week. Then to print output, we've already seen printf. There's also fprintf to print output to a file. There's sprintf to print output to a character buffer. And then the inverse are scanf, fscanf, and sscanf. Finally, there's a section in the text on generic programming that I'll point out here is chapter 14. And I think it's useful if you guys could look at that before we get into class on Monday. I'll talk to you